Choose Your Favorite Child is like that. You would never tell yourself that you have a favorite child, even if you did. Warren Bey, a famous actor best known for roles in movies like Bonnie and Clyde and Reds, has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease at the age of 86. This news has shocked everyone in the entertainment business and among his fans. She has been married to him for more than 30 years and has to say goodbye to the man she used to know so well. It's hard for her, but she's still there for him during this hard time. How will their love story change as they go through this together? Warren Bey was born Henry Warren Bey on March 30th, 1937, in Richmond, Virginia. His family was very interested in both. His mother, Kathleen MccAnn Bey, was a teacher, and his father, Ira Owens Bey, ran a school when he was young. Warren's life was shaped by his strong academic background, but it was the artistic side of his family that had the biggest impact on him. His sister, Shirley McLean, who was already famous as an actress and dancer when Warren was in school, she was 4 years older than him, was a big part of his life. When he was young, Warren was interested in movies and the idea of being on camera. Just like watching his sister perform on stage and screen made him think he could do the same thing. But Warren wasn't only exposed to the arts by watching his sister, they also helped him follow his dreams of becoming an actor and musician. In school, he played the piano and was interested in acting by putting on shows at his school. He became interested in acting at a young age, and this interest would guide his choices and help him get a job in Hollywood and start a career. Bey went to Northwestern University in Illinois after high school, but he quickly realized that college wasn't right for him. He was too interested in acting to stay in school for another year, so he quit to focus on acting full-time. That's when he moved to New York City, which at the time was the center of American theater and TV, and learned how to be an actress from the great Stella Adler. Adler, who had also worked with famous people like Marlon Brando, helped Warren get better at what he did and get ready for his big break. Soon after, he started getting jobs, starting with TV roles. Betty's first show on Broadway was A Loss of Roses in 1959, but the play didn't do well, and Warren's acting got him jobs in Hollywood. His first big movie role was in Splendor in the Grass, which came out in 1961 and starred Natalie Wood. The movie Splendor in the Grass, directed by Elia Kazan, did well at the box office and with critics. Warren Bey got a lot of praise for his role as Bud Stamper, a young man who is going through a tough sexual and emotional situation. His performance made him a rising star in Hollywood, and he won the Golden Globe for Best New Star of the Year for it. After this early success, he was able to take on bigger roles, and it was the start of a long and important career in the movie business. He became a Hollywood star in the late 1960s and stayed that way until the 1970s. Bonnie and Clyde and other movies helped shape Bey's career. These movies showed how important he was becoming in Hollywood as an actor, producer, and director. In 1967, he produced and starred in Bonnie and Clyde, a movie about two famous bank robbers, Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow. Bey's career took a big turn with this project because it was his first big job as a director behind the camera, and he had a lot of control over it. Bonnie and Clyde was a big deal when it came out because it had violence, romance, and a daring spirit. Even though critics didn't agree with the plot at first, the movie did well at the box office and is now seen as a classic. It was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Actor for Wilder. It made him a bigger star in Hollywood and showed that he could change the direction of a project from the back. After Bonnie and Clyde became a hit, Bey kept making movies that people liked in the 1970s. He carefully chose the roles he would play in movies like Heaven Can Wait 1978, McCabe and Mrs. Miller 1971, and Shampoo 1975. For many of these productions, he did more than one thing, like producing and sometimes directing. This showed that he wanted to be creatively in charge of his work at the time, which wasn't common for Hollywood actors. One thing that made him stand out was his desire to be involved in every part of making movies. In 1981, with Reds, Bey reached the next big point in his career. This historical drama was a big and personal project for Beatty, who directed, produced, co-wrote, and acted in it. Reds tells the story of American reporter John Reed and his role in the Russian Revolution with a big cast and a lot of complicated historical material. Many critics and moviegoers agree that Reds was a 12 Academy Awards were nominated for Beatty, and he won the award for Best Director, making him one of Hollywood's biggest stars from the late 1970s to the early 1980s. Warren Bey was more than just a famous actor. People respected him for his work, both in front of and behind the camera. He was a creative freak at the time. He was one of the most important people in Hollywood because he could direct and produce at the same time. At the same time, one of Warren Beatty's biggest projects was the 1990 movie Dick Tracy, which was based on the popular comic strip detective created by Chester Gould in the 1930s. Bey, who directed and acted in the movie, had a clear idea of how he wanted the character to look and act on screen. He tried to stay true to the very bright and silly style of the original comic strip while adding the level of detail and production value of a modern blockbuster. People liked how bold and different Dick Tracy's style was from other movies at the time. Bey used a small set of colors that the clothes, makeup, and film sets all helped make the world look like it was straight out of a comic book. This one-of-a-kind style of art helped people remember and recognize Dick Tracy, but it wasn't just the pictures that stood out. LaDonna, Al Pacino, and Dustin Hoffman were two famous actors who were in the movie, and it did well with both of them. The movie made more than $160 million worldwide, and was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, winning 3, including Best Art Direction and Best Makeup. Critics praised Bey's work to keep the tone of the comic strip while making it more relevant to modern readers. The movie also had a long-lasting effect on pop culture, inspiring other movies to try more creative ways of adapting comic books. For example, Dick Tracy's adaptation of The Adventures of Tintin was both artistic and popular. The special from Dick Tracy was a big deal more than 30 years after the original movie. In 2023, Beatty surprised everyone with a follow-up called Dick Tracy Special Tracy Zooms In. This special wasn't a normal continuation or start over. Instead, it was a fun and lighthearted look back at the character and Beatty's long history with the series. In the movie, Tracy zooms in. Bey played Dick Tracy and had a meta-discussion about the character's history. Bey bought the film rights to Dick Tracy decades ago and has gone back to the character from time to time to keep those rights. This is part of the reason for the show. Bat's performance as Tracy in the show is self-aware and fun, because he makes fun of both the character and himself. Tracy Zooms In wasn't as popular in theaters as the first Dick Tracy movie, but it was a unique way for Bat to keep the character alive and show how much he loved the role. The special reminded us of how close he was to Tracy and showed that he could still laugh about his work after all these years. There Are No Rules Don't Apply was Warren Beatty's first movie in 15 years, after a break. It was a big deal when it came out in 2016 because it was Beatty's first movie in a long time and he directed, produced, and played the lead role. Howard Hughes was a strange millionaire and aviator, and the movie mostly shows his later years. It was clear that Beatty loved working on this project. He had been interested in Hughes for a long time. And Rules Don't Apply gave him a chance to learn more about Hughes' complicated personality. The movie isn't just about Hughes. though it also has a love story between two made-up characters. Lily Collins is an aspiring actor and Alden Ehrenreich as her ambitious driver. Hughes is portrayed by Beatty as a man who is mysterious and unreliable. He is in charge of the people around him but stays out of their way. Rules Don't Apply got mixed reviews, but many people liked how it was directed. Bat's stories and how willing he was to take creative risks. The movie didn't do as well at the box office as some of his other movies, but it was still a big deal for Bey. Many years ago, he dreamed of telling a story about Hughes. Now, even though it got mixed reviews, that dream could come true. Rules Don't Apply was a great example of Beatty's skill as a director who wasn't afraid to take on new projects. Beebe has made a name for himself by taking risks in front of and behind the camera. Whether he's playing a real person like John Reed in Reds or Howard Huston in Howard Huston and Howard Huston, Rules Don't Apply, Beebe always tells stories that interest him. His most recent movie, Trends Are, shows how willing he was to try new things and follow his own creative vision, even though Hollywood tends to go for safer bets these days. Warren Bey and Annette Bening fell in love in 1991 while filming Bugsy. Bening played Bugsy's girlfriend Virginia Hill, and Bey played the notorious gangster Bugsy Siegel. They got along great on screen, and it was soon clear that they were having a great time off screen too. At the time, Bey had dated a lot of famous women but had never been married, and many people thought he would never get married, but meeting Bening changed their minds. Beginning dating while making Bugsy seemed to change everything. Bey has talked a lot about how deeply he fell in love with Bening from the start. They were already in love by the time Bugsy came out later that same year. They got married in 1992, which was a big event in Betty's life. He had a history of not wanting to make commitments, but his relationship with Bening was different. People in Hollywood looked up to them because they were stable and full of real love. They have raised 4 kids together and have been able to keep a strong relationship for a long time, which isn't always easy in their line of work. Their relationship stands out because both of them have well-known jobs and have kept their personal lives out of the public eye. Bey and Bening have been married for decades, which is very unusual in Hollywood. They are seen as one of the most respected couples in the business. Family life. Warren Bey and Annette Bening have always been clear that family is more important to them than fame. Both of them are famous in Hollywood, but they work hard to keep their private lives, especially those of their children, out of the public eye. From the start, Bey and Bening wanted to give their 4 kids a normal childhood away from the attention that comes with being a famous family. This was a big change for Batiste, who had been in the news for years because of his famous relationships. They wanted to make their home life solid and private. Once they had a child, they didn't talk about it much in interviews or when they were out in public with their kids because they were so good at hiding it. Betty and Bening wanted to keep their kids away from the stresses of growing up in the public eye. They taught their kids strong values and let them find their own ways in life. Over the years, their kids have grown up mostly out of the public eye, which doesn't happen very often in Hollywood. People who had worked with him said they liked and respected him as a person as well as an artist. Fans were sad when they learned that the lively character had died. They had loved on screen was having serious health problems. Alzheimer's disease gets worse over time and makes it hard to remember things and think clearly. Bey has been in the public eye for most of his life, so this news hurts him even more. It can affect more than just the person who has it. Many people who knew him talked about how smart and funny he was and how much fun they had with him. They felt even more connected to these pictures when they realized how sick he really was. The news affected more than just Batty's movie fans who grew up with them. Many people were sad about the death of a man who had made many people happy and taught them new things. Lida talks about how important it is to teach people about Alzheimer's disease and help those who have it. Since he was told he had Alzheimer's, there has been a flood of love and support for Beatty. It was a hard trip because many of Beatty's friends and family told him they would be there for him during this tough time. It was a reminder of Beatty's important legacy and how much people loved him in both his personal and professional life. What Annette Bening did. Annette Bening is Warren Beatty's main caregiver while he deals with his Alzheimer's disease. This is a very important and difficult job, but Bening has made it her mission to help her husband get through this tough time by focusing on making him feel safe and cared for is her top priority, which shows how much she loves and cares for him. Being a parent can be very hard on you, and Bening has been heartbroken as he has seen Warren lose his memories and change over time. She thinks a lot about what a lively and talented man he was, and it hurts to see those memories fade. This loss isn't just about memories, it's about seeing how the person she fell in love with changes over time. Bening is having a hard time because of Warren's health ups and downs, but it affects the whole family. Warren and Bening were married for more than 30 years, and it's been hard for her to slowly lose the man she loves. Every day his memory and attitude are getting worse. There are times when things are clear and times when they are not. It's hard for Bening to let go of the memories they've made together. Warren's illness also affects their children. They are seeing their dad change, which can be hard and confusing for them. Bening has to help them understand what's going on and make sure they feel safe. The family needs to deal with this new situation as a whole, which can mean making tough decisions and having tough conversations. As a babysitter, Bening also has to make tough decisions every day in addition to her duties at home. She also has to take care of her own mental health and needs. This can include making decisions about his care and making sure he goes to all of his appointments. She is always there for him and does everything she can to love and help him through this hard journey. Her devotion to Warren and their family shows how close they are and how determined they are to face the challenges of Alzheimer's together. As Warren Bey fights Alzheimer's disease, Annette Bening has shown amazing love and support. There is love and strength in everything Beatty does and chooses for Warren. She knows how important it is to be there for him as more than just a partner. He wants her to be his champion and caregiver. She will do everything she can to make him feel loved and cared for, even on the worst days. Beatty has gone out of her way to make Warren feel at ease wherever she is. She knows that people with Alzheimer's need to keep their lives normal, so she gives him emotional support, lets him do the things he likes, and makes sure he stays close to people he knows. Her dedication makes him feel safe and cared for, which is very good for his health. Bening fights for Warren's honor the whole time because she believes that he should be treated with respect. As Warren's memory gets worse, she talks about how important it is to keep his honor and make sure he is seen as a person, not just a patient. Her determination to stick to this idea shows how much she loves Warren and wants to honor the time they spent together. Being able to handle the emotional challenges of caring for someone with Alzheimer's is another sign of Bing's strength. She knows she will be sad and angry some days, but she keeps her mind on the love they share. Being steady not only helps her, but it also makes Warren and their family feel safe. Bing has also been open about what it's like to have Alzheimer's, which has helped bring more attention to the disease and its problems. She hopes that by telling their story, other people will do the same. To raise awareness of Alzheimer's, Annette Bening works hard because she cares deeply about other people who may be having similar issues. Ever since Warren Beatty was diagnosed, she has known how important it is to talk about the problems that come with having this disease. Bening has used her public platform to share their story, which has helped bring attention to how Alzheimer's affects not only the person who has it, but also their family and friends. Benning believes that many people may not fully understand what it's like to have Alzheimer's diseases. By being honest about her experiences as a guardian, she wants to teach people the truth about dementia. She talks about the emotional struggles and problems her clients face every day, which helps to make the numbers and stories that are often told in the media more real. People are more likely to talk about their own problems because she is honest, which helps get rid of the shame that surrounds dementia. One of Benning's main goals is to give families going through similar problems the hope they need to know they're not alone. As an advocate, Benning stresses how important it is to have both personal and community-based support systems. She has also talked about how important it is for parents to get help and talk about how they feel. By getting people to talk, she hopes to create a group where people with Alzheimer's can understand and help each other. Benning has helped put together a number of events. Benning has worked on campaigns and articles that have brought attention to causes that are trying to find new ways to treat Alzheimer's and help families who are dealing with it. She gives her time and words to these causes, which could mean more money and attention for studies into Alzheimer's. Benning also talks a lot about how important it is to teach people more about the disease. She thinks that more people will be kind and helpful to those who are sick if they know more about the signs and how the disease gets worse. Their work to spread information about Alzheimer's is based on her own experience with the disease. She uses her writing to teach, give hope, and inspire people to take action. By making families going through similar problems feel seen and understood in their fights, Benning is making a difference for families. Warren Bey is a Hollywood star. Because he was such an important actor, director, and producer, Beatty will always be remembered as a Hollywood icon. He has been an actor for a long time and has been in many famous movies. He has also changed the way movies tell stories. Bey is known for being able to play complicated roles on stage. He often played roles that went against what society thought was right. Movies like Bonnie and Clyde showed how good he was at giving flawed but interesting characters depth. Many awards, including Oscars and Golden Globes, have been given to Beatty for his acting. But it was his ability to make people feel what his characters felt that made him stand out from other talented actors. Bey also did a lot of important work as a director and producer, in addition to starring in movies. His first movie as a director, Heaven Can Wait, did well at the box office and showed how skilled he is behind the camera. He kept making movies like Reds, which was nominated for 10 Academy Awards. This movie showed how much he cared about telling important stories, especially ones with political and historical themes. As a producer, Bey was very important in making sure that the movies he worked on met high standards of creativity and quality.